Hey guys, welcome to the Pottery channel. I am teaching you guys how to make bedside water decanters today. So we're going to have this guy where it has this little lip here to be able to pour and a lid, which is also your cup. So this guy fits perfectly right here. You put this next to your bed and you fill this up with water, and this makes it so nothing flies into your, hopefully nothing's flying in your bedroom anyways, but I'm a weird person and I can't have anything like open when I am drinking out of it. It has to be closed. So this makes it so it's sealed and you don't have that issue, which is really, really nice. It has a little bit of clay on it because I was sanding it. Obviously not out of the studio. The studio is behind me right now, but you have your little lid, or you can use it for whatever you want. It can be whatever kind of decanter you want it to be. So if you want to put wine, or you can chill it, you can do whatever you want. So let's get to throwing that today, and I can't wait to show you guys what these look like when they're all done. And I'll compare the finished version with the size of the one that we already threw, and you guys can kind of see the size differences on how much it shrinks. All right, bye guys. All right, my pottery peeps, let's get started. We're going to wipe these tables down and we're going to pound out our clay. And I don't like to tell you guys exactly how much clay to use because you guys kind of need to figure that out on your own. So if you want this carafe to be taller, then you use more clay. If you want it to be smaller, use less clay. You guys kind of got to play around with it. I always recommend having a little book. And once you find a size of the amounts that you like, then do with that. That's the best way to do it. So I'm cleaning my bat because I hate dirty bats, and I'm going to get this centered. So as you guys can see, my elbows are down and my hands are touching. So this guy was a little bit extra wobbly because I'm using recycled clay, and I didn't put it through the pug mill. I just grabbed clay that was thrown into buckets in the back, and so it takes a little bit longer to get this centered. So I'm coning this up. My hands are staying in that same place. I'm going to be coning up and pushing down and really using that sponge on my right hand to pull in as I'm doing this to help get that wiggle out of the inside. We're going to push this down into our hockey puck, and I like to clean up as I go, especially when I'm trying to show you guys what I'm doing, and then we don't have all that slurry. So from here, we're going down to check our thickness, and we're going to open. I did not show you guys checking the thickness in this video, so make sure to use your pin tool and check your thickness. And then we're going to go into our compressions. We really want to make sure the floor is even and we don't end up with S-cracks. So compressions are really important, you guys. So we're going to take our time, compress this baby, and make sure it is even. You guys can make this however you want. So I'm going for a more traditional style bedside carafe where it's tall and a little bit more bubbly. You guys can make this however you want it to look. I've seen some really cute like round ones. I've seen some donut ones. Just depends on what you want. So we're going to do our first pull, which I like to call is our donut pull. So you guys still see my elbows are down the entire time, and we're slowly pulling this up. And I can see a tiny wiggle because this clay was a little bit trickier today. And you know what? That's okay. We can fix it. So from here, we're going to get the water out, and we don't swipe the water out. Everything is held. We don't need to swipe because then it just takes the clay away. So we're going to start all the way at the base and pull all the way from the top. Our inside hands are not pushing. It is just our outside hands. So all the way to that top, one hand off at a time. And we're going to regroup that rim by pushing that sponge down just slightly. And we're going to keep doing this same exact thing over and over and over again until we get it as tall as we like. I wanted this guy to be pretty tall. I like having a giant thing of water. I like them to be really like almost like a beautiful item next to your bed. So I usually do mine a little bit taller. It's very much up to you, however you guys want to create this. So we're going all the way up to that top. When you guys are doing your pulls, make sure you're starting at the bottom using your middle finger on your right hand. You're working in that 3 to 4 o'clock zone because we're going to pretend like our piece of clay is a clock. It's the easiest way to really understand where we need to be working. We don't want the clay going away from us. We want it to be going with us. So that clay should be just right in that space where the clay is smooth, it's not attacking us. So starting all the way at that base, you guys see that little lip that I just created? And we're gonna pull that lip up. And as we get taller and our hands really, it makes it harder and harder for our hands to fit, what we're gonna do is our elbow is gonna go up. We just have to be extra careful because we really wanna make sure that our hands are working together and we don't end up rocking our piece. So I'm getting all the way to the top, and as you guys can see, I slowly tuck my elbow in once I get closer and closer, so I am still insanely stable. And then I'm going to regroup my rim, one hand off at a time. We never want to take both hands off at the same time because it can re-wobble our clay. It can off-center it. So now I pretty much have a tall cylinder here. And now I need to shape it out. So this is when the inside of my hand really can actually start pushing. So the inside of my fingers are actually pushing out. If you see that base growing, my outside hand is actually just kind of guiding it so I don't push too hard. And I'm going to slowly shape this. So I'm not going to push too hard in the middle because I like to have that hourglass shape. And I want this to have like a little bubble at the top, but the 1 inch down from the main pour, like the pitcher part, I want that to actually go in a little bit. So when I put my cup on it, it sits more on that. So as I'm shaping, I'm really keeping that in my mind. And I know that once I get to that point where I start, when I start pulling the top in, I'm not going to be able to put my hand down there anymore. As it is, my hand is already barely fitting in there. So make sure to get that water out. I like to use my red rib because then I know that I'm going to get an even, beautiful, like round shape as I'm doing this. So my rib is in the inside of my pot at an angle, and I'm slowly gliding that rib all the way up my piece as I'm creating. And you always want to clean your tools. Don't ever use dirty tools or else that dirt is going to go right back onto your pot. So I'm just taking my time. I did not speed this process up. This is the real-time footage so you guys can really see how long it takes to properly shape your pot. So I'm going to get that water out again. And I'm going to slowly start coloring this top in. I just want the top. I don't want anything else. So I have a 3-point system. My middle fingers, the pads of my index fingers, and my thumbs are really all working together to slowly color that in. And I'm going to take my time building the shape that I want now that I know that the piece is done and I'm done pulling. All right, so I have that top part the way that I like it. I'm going to take some of this base off because I don't want to have to trim all this later. We had that little bit of extra, and I like to just take a wooden knife tool and slice that off. So when I'm trimming, it's a lot faster and a lot easier. And I like to add a little spout to, like, not a attached spout, but just like a little spout to make this pour properly. And then I'm going to alter this piece just a little bit so I know when I go and I pour this, it does not spill everywhere. I like to make sure that the pouring section of any vessel is done pretty well. I'm a little particular about it because I hate when you pour something and it spills all over you guys, and you know, you're tired and you go to grab this and it spills all over you or your bed or wherever you put this. It's a little annoying, so I do not want that. I'm going to grab the top here and I'm going to slowly start altering it. So I'm pushing it out and pushing it in. And then this part's really, really important. I'm going to take my fingers and I'm actually going to draw a line inside the neck of this, and that's going to make this pour properly. So it's not going to spill everywhere because I'm almost doing like a pull on my spout. And then I'm going to use these lid masters, and I like to measure it out just so I know when I do my little tumbler, my little mug that goes on top of this, I know that it's actually going to fit. There's been multiple times where we've made these and I make a bunch of them, and then I forget that you want like a good solid fit. So make sure to use the little lid masters and measure this out, or a caliper, whatever you're using. So let's get to the next one. We are going to center this piece. This is just a tiny piece. I'm just making a tiny little tumbler to sit on the top of this. It's like a tiny little cup. I mean, it's not itty bitty. It's more like a cappuccino size, which is kind of shocking. But it's like a good little water cup that's going to sit right on top of the carafe. So we're going to center this. It's going to take 2 seconds to center because honestly, it's really small. And then we are going to go through all of our steps all over again. So we're going to center, hands are together. My fingertips on my right hand are really doing most of the work. They're pulling in as my right is pushing out. We're going to karate chop this down, you know, making sure our left hand is actually in an angle so we don't mushroom this piece. And then we are going to open it and create a tiny little mug. All right, so now that we're at this stage, I actually think I used too much clay. I did not measure this. I didn't really, I'm kind of eyeballing it for this video. And I don't want a huge cup that's gonna sit on top of this. So as I'm pulling, I can already tell that in order to make this thin and a good, well-made little vessel, I am gonna have to cut half of the top off. So let's go through the whole thing because I am like 90% sure this is going to get cut off because I already know at this point it's already too big. So I'm going to grab my wooden pin tool, never a metal pin tool at the wheel. Very important. The metal ones are a lot thicker. You really want to make sure you're using a wooden one. And I'm kind of looking at my vessel right now and I'm like, okay, I know this entire top part needs to go. So I'm cutting this off, gonna grab it, and then I'm going to regroup that rim because anything sharp now is gonna be super sharp later. So make sure to smooth everything out. We want nothing to be sharp. I don't wanna give this to somebody or put it in my house and have it cut me. Like, no thank you. And now I'm just gonna kind of shape this out. And that's really about it. We know that it's gonna fit. We have already done our measurements. We did our pulls. Everything looks good. I'm gonna finish it off with my little red rib really fast just to give it that shape that I want. This is very much up to you guys. I am a very classic potter. I like the traditional style, like Italian plain beauty. I don't like to mess with it too much. I just like the simplicity of a very well-made pot. And I'm gonna cut off that extra so I don't have to trim all that later. And stay tuned because I have a lot more to tell you before you guys run away. So let's get this one all cut off and I will show you guys. All right, you guys, I hope you try it and I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out our other videos if you are looking on how to center or if you need help with throwing bowls or any kind of situation. Let us know what you guys want to see in the comments so we can start making videos that are more catered towards our viewers. We absolutely love sharing our knowledge as potters with you guys. So let us know what you guys want to make, and it is insanely bright outside. I usually do these at my house and I have like a covering, and we're doing this at the shop today. So it's a little bit brighter. I feel like I can't see anything. So hopefully you guys can see me okay. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. All right. Bye, you guys. I don't know if you guys made it this far into the video, but this is how big it is. It's hard to really show you, but this is how small it actually shrinks. These were made with the exact same amounts, and it shrinks really quite a bit. So I also want to show you guys how it pours. So I'm going to fill this up with water because I think that it's important to show you guys what I mean by it not spilling. So a lot of times when you have these and you pour it, it's going to spill all down right where that lip is when you're pouring. You want it to stop every single time as soon as you lift it away. And then I spilled it all over the floor anyways, so, enjoy.